Today I am going to be packaging up the orange patchouli soaps that I made there just over a month ago, I think. They are all fully cured. I have weighed them for about a week straight just to make sure that the weight isn't changing and that all the water has evaporated correctly for me. So now that they are ready, I got my plastic wrap on them. One of the things that I've talked about a little bit already is my hope for this year is to be moving away from the plastic wrap that I currently use, which is this Vita wrap that I get at the wholesale superstore. It works great. It's been working great for me for the last few years, but it is a plastic wrap and I would like to get away from it if I can, for a few reasons. Of course, that it is plastic, so I'd like to avoid that waste and get into something biodegradable. I'd also like to get away from my soaps right now. What I'm finding with my customers who retail the soaps, they are all displaying the soaps with the label. So what I've been doing currently is I have my soaps here and I've got the plastic wrap, kind of the extra ends and everything folded in and shrink wrapped nicely there. And then I just put my label over top of it. Well, that one's crooked, but I put my label over top of it. But what I'm finding is when my retailers are displaying, most of them for some reason are displaying this way. I suspect that has to do with Canada and our cosmetic regulations. It does ask that the label, specific items like the goat milk soap, what it is, the grams, are all to be displayed on the front of the packaging. So I think this is why they're choosing to display them this way. I personally don't do that. I display them this way. I guess I do both. I'll display them kind of, I have 2 rows usually on my shelves. So one you'll be able to see the gorgeous designs, and then the other one, you can see the label as well for it. So what I'm struggling with is all this little kind of shrink wrapping, and like it looks like the back of a package because of all that extra wrap there. I have tried downsizing the wrap. It doesn't shrink properly. It tends to break and cut and do all kinds of crazy things. So I've been trying to think of other options, and at this point the only option that I've come up with that will get me away from the plastic issue, as well as get me away from having that shrink wrap on the back and have a more cleaner professional look, is to go with this national shrink wrap system and their biodegradable film. It is a little bit more money, but I think that it is the right way to go for me to get what I want long term this year. So because I decided to open a shop this year, I did have to push back purchasing the shrink wrap system. I was supposed to purchase it here in January. But opening of the shop, of course, as many of you may know, comes with its own expenses. So I've had to push that back. Probably, we'll see. It's kind of quiet season right now, so it'll have to wait a little bit longer, but I hope to have that completed and purchased this year so that I can get that nice cleaner look. And not only for my soaps, my bath bombs have the same problem. They have like this, on the bottoms of them, they have this pile of shrink wrap all kind of bundled up on the bottom that I just really don't like to see there. I'd like to get that gone. I think that's going to help me drastically with wholesale orders, having that much cleaner look to it. So we'll see where that lands us, but for now, I haven't had a single customer complain at all about the look of the back of the soaps. So I think it's a me problem at this point, more than an actual issue that's preventing me from selling. But I do think I would like to see something a little bit more, just a little more professional, make me feel better about it. And then the biodegradable option, it's one of those things that where I can, I'd like to do it. And it's just a perk that comes with that National Shrink Wrap system that they do offer it. So that will be great because you'll be able to take the wrapping from the soaps and actually throw it right in your compost bin, and it'll compost up within a year. So that will be a huge option for me to be able to let people know that they can do that. And again, interestingly enough, not so much that my customers have asked me for that option. I think I'm a little bit rural. Alberta might not be as prevalent here as maybe in the city, but I do think that my customers, although they may not be asking for it, will appreciate it if it is an option that's on my soap. So I think that it will be good for me, as well as I do have all these plans for starting Etsy. Well, I'm already on Etsy and Fair. I'm just in the process right now of setting up my Fair shop, and to get interest from customers kind of out and about in other areas and ranges, and just expand that customer base. I think there's a very large portion of customers who would appreciate biodegradable film on my soaps. And then I guess the third thing to go with that is, I think it's coming. I think that Canada as a whole is working towards getting rid of these single-use plastics, and I might as well be working towards that goal so that it's not a huge shock when the time comes. So my labels here, I actually just make these on a Cricut machine. They are kind of just cut out on the Cricut. So I print them on my Epson, I can't even remember what series it is, but just a standard Epson printer. And then I go ahead and cut them on the Cricut so I can get that nice little shape to them that's a little bit more original to me. And I've been really happy with this so far. The only thing that I've had some troubles with, which I think I've got it worked out now, is my colors, this green background. I've had it where it gets lines through the label. I don't have a sample here right now, but basically just little white lines throughout it. It's driving me crazy, but I did a little research, and it seems to have something to do with needing to set your printer to a custom setting. So kind of in the advanced settings, there's an option to do custom. And once I adjusted that, it seems to no longer be a problem. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. I had thought I had it fixed once and then it started up again, but what I found out was that I had moved my printer from home to my office, and we were actually using the printer's Wi-Fi versus the household Wi-Fi, and it pulls from a different network in that way. And so it had actually was, the custom had fallen off in the printer's Wi-Fi setting. So once I got it back to a network system and was able to change the setting back to custom, it seems to be working again, which is making me very happy, as it was driving me nuts. The other thing that I've been finding I'm having some troubles with is color. And I think maybe I've got it worked out now, but the color was coming in just slightly differently from label to label. If you come into the shop, you'll notice some of the soaps that I've labeled previously last year versus the ones that I've done this year. The colors are a little bit different, and I think I've got it down now where I actually know I don't know what you call it, the color code in Cricut, so that hopefully they'll all match exactly moving forward. I'm just going to keep a close eye on it and see if I've gotten it fixed or not. If I don't have it fixed yet, it is definitely going to have me considering whether I need to have professional labels printed. Again, not so much for my day-to-day customers who might come into the store. They're not generally too concerned about a little bit of a color difference or anything like that. But what I am finding is that it's going to make it difficult for me to wholesale my soaps if they're slightly different. So if I package these orange patchoulis today, for example, and I don't know, maybe I have 30 on the shelves and I get an order for 40 and I have to make 10 more, and then the labels on those 10 come out slightly differently than these ones, that inconsistency is probably not something that maybe a wholesaler who's got a little boutique or something is going to want to have in their shop. So that's something I'm really just kind of keeping a really close eye on to see how I want to handle it. Just don't know yet, but we'll see if it continues to be a problem. Hopefully I have fixed it and I don't have any struggles with it moving forward. I did also have to change up on my labels my address. So it used to be my home address, and now that I am making these soaps in the shop, I had to change the address to my shop address, which totally makes sense. So when you come by the shop, you may notice on the labels that one batch of soaps might still have my home address on them, and then the newer batches of soaps, anything that's been made here at the shop, will now have the shop address. And then as everything starts to sell out, they'll all be my shop address moving forward, which will be perfect. I got my hand slapped from cosmetic notification form here. I had submitted a recipe, and for whatever reason, the INCI name for coconut oil, which is the Cocos nucifera, and for the canola oil, the Brassica napizelle, for whatever reason, it wasn't finding them on the cosmetic notification form. And it just kept telling me they weren't found, they weren't found, they weren't found. I've found them 1,000 times before, so I'm not sure why that is, but they weren't finding them. So I ended up, it did accept coconut oil and it did accept canola oil. So I thought, well, if you're going to accept them, then I guess maybe something has changed and you're accepting the basic names now. The answer to that was no. I got an email saying no, you must fix it. So I don't know if their system was just having a glitch that day or what happened, but I'm going to have to go in and adjust them to be the correct ones, which is no problem as long as they work. If they don't work, I might have to reach out to them and see what's going on there. I have in the past just had a silly little typo or something, and it's totally my user error, but I don't think that's the case this time. I really put a lot of effort into trying to make them work and copying and pasting the names and everything else, and they just still weren't working. So I don't think that's the issue this time. So here, these guys, if you come by the shop and make a purchase, I generally will send a little sample home with you. So that's what I do with the ends of my loaf. So when I cut my loaves into my 10 slices, I have a little piece on the front and the back, and I take those pieces and I give them to you as a little sample to try, so you can test out either the soap, or maybe you're not sure about a fragrance. You can have a little sample to check it out and see what you think. That seems to be, people seem to be really appreciating that, having those testers. So it's definitely something I'll probably keep up. It's not like I have a big use for them anyways. And then it's just nice to hand out something to everyone. Somehow I have an extra one today. I'm not sure where. Oh, I have an extra one today. Well, that's what I had today. I just had to wrap up these orange patchouli soaps, and they are going on the shelf today. So if you're interested in purchasing some, you can come on by the shop. I will try my best to get them on the website here as well, so that you can choose to purchase them online. And yeah, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. And thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Bye-bye.